A weight loss stall doesn't mean that your diet has stopped working. What it means is that you stop losing weight. But that doesn't even need to be a problem. It only becomes a problem because most people stop doing their diet, so they quit when their diet stops losing them weight. We have this ridiculous idea that our weight loss is supposed to be completely downhill all the time. If I eat the right thing and exercise enough, the weight will fall off and then I can just get back to my normal life. This silly idea about weight loss was crafted by companies to trick us into giving up on our diets. They know that if they can get us to just feel like the diet isn't working, we'll go back to eating garbage, and we're going to need them. We're going to need their exercise routines, we're going to need their diet injections, and whatever other crap that they come up with to keep us overweight and spending money trying to be thin. Today I'm going to show you why your weight stalls and how to fix it with food. If you're doing a standard American diet, after about 6 months of dieting, your body's going to get used to whatever you've been doing to lose weight. So most people are doing a calorie restriction of some sort and exercise, and it's going to stop allowing that to work. This is on purpose. Your body is trying to protect you because what it can see is less food is coming in, but we're working harder than ever. Oh no, I need to slow down what's happening. Companies know that that happens. They turn around and they blame us for not trying hard enough, for not having enough self-control, for not understanding that the food they've created that is engineered to pull us in and make us want to eat too much of it, causing our weight to rise, is carb heavy. And therefore, this calorie idea was never going to work in the first place. That's right. Companies know that carbohydrates cause weight gain, not calories. So for anybody who's new to the channel, I'm Violet, and I have more than 20 years of experience helping people to solve their life problems. I'm using that experience to help you lose weight and keep it off by exposing how companies use our wants and desires against us so that they can make money. On a standard diet, we want to be thin so badly that we'll walk around hungry for months at a time just to lose 20 pounds. The problem is, because we don't know that it's the carbohydrates that are causing our weight gain, we continue to allow ourselves to eat fun food, junk food, desserts, because why wouldn't we? We don't know that that's a problem. And we either stall or worse, gain weight, even though we're dieting. I want us to understand that even on a keto, low carb, carnivore, whatever you might be doing kind of diet, you can still experience stalls. There are 5 reasons that someone doing keto or carnivore may experience a stall that I want to talk about today, because I want you guys to win. But before I go over those reasons, I want to point out, you're on a stall. That means you were actually losing weight. Too often, we're so upset by the stall, we quit the diet. Before you began the diet, you were gaining weight, Wellness Warrior. All of us. That's what's happening on a standard American, standard Canadian diet. It's a weight gain diet. It's an illness-producing diet. We are inflamed, we are getting sicker, and we're gaining. Can we celebrate that we stabilized at a lower weight rather than looking at the stall and getting angry? And by the way, we've stabilized at this lower weight and we aren't hungry. I feel like we just ignore this information. The first problem that we're going to run into that could possibly cause us to stall is that our body will adapt. Right, just like on a standard diet and standard calorie restriction things, our body is always adapting. No matter what you do, your body is always adapting. Weight loss is happening because you've lowered your carbohydrate coming in. But you might not have lowered it enough to get yourself into ketosis. What that would mean is that you've created a calorie restriction diet even though you think you're doing keto. So your body is going to lose weight at the beginning. So you're going to drop all the water, or a lot of it anyways, and you're going to lose weight like everybody else, and then it's going to slow down and possibly even stop and possibly go back to gaining because you're still eating too much carbohydrate. You have less energy coming in, but you're not tapping into those fat stores yet. That's what it means if you didn't get into a ketogenic state. You're not tapping into the fat stores. Another way that this could happen is that you did get into ketosis. So let's say you got down, so you're under 20, but you're still not losing. because you have inflammation. Carbs are not the only toxin we're trying to solve for here. Plants have other toxins that are doing damage. And it could be that you're eating something that is harming you. In my case, I found out that nightshade vegetables, like all of them, cause my inflammation to still be there, and it beats me up and it messes with my progress. You could be having a similar thing happen with something that you're eating. The second problem that we could run into that causes us to stall is carb creep. And that's when we're got ourselves down to that ketogenic state, but then accidentally we allow extra carbohydrates into our diet. I've seen this happen in a few ways. One is that we are buying or making sauces, dressings that are just heavier in carbohydrates than we think. And also maybe we're not measuring how much we're putting on our plate. And so therefore, even if the sauce has 2 grams of carbs, if I have 20 servings, it's overpowering my food. Another thing in the carb creep world is keto snacks. Wellness Warrior, I stopped having keto snacks. So I stopped making them altogether because one of the things I realized is that in my normal way of eating, when I had cookies, I would have 6 cookies, not 2. And the same thing was happening to me with my keto snacks. I would just have more of them. If you're doing that, you're going to gain weight or you're going to stay stuck. The other way that could possibly happen with your healthy food is that your portion sizes just get bigger and bigger because they're healthy vegetables. This is good for me. Not realizing there's still carbohydrates and there's still toxins in there. Bigger portion sizes means more carbs and more toxins. It's going to impact your weight loss trajectory. I think that when we get comfortable in our keto way of living, especially for those of us who were losing weight really quickly and like easily and smoothly, we get comfortable and we just stop paying attention to what we're putting on our plate. And I'm saying this twice in this section because I want you to understand what a big, huge, gigantic mistake it is. We need to track what we're doing. The third thing that can cause us to stall is fat consumption. And we could do that in 2 ways. We could overeat the healthy fats that we're having. I've seen some people that are doing keto and carnivore that wrap bacon around everything, even though they're still on a weight loss journey. If I'm adding extra fat all the time, am I messing with my weight loss progress? We need to... The other problem with fat is sometimes we don't realize that those seed oils not only are unhealthy, they're pushing our insulin resistance. And so there's 2 parts to this, right? Because inflammation in the body is absolutely going to cause you to resume water retention. So even though you're doing keto, if you're allowing yourself to do things like eat burger patties where the place making the patty is frying them in the poor quality oil, or even just putting canola oil in their seasoning mixes and adding it to their meats or whatever they're doing in their sauces. And if you're getting unhealthy seed oils into your body, it is going to stall you. It's going to contribute to weight gain, but it's also going to contribute to damage to your body, which again is going to ruin your health, your weight loss process, your health process. It ruins it all. The fourth thing that I want to talk about is stress. That absolutely stalls us, Wellness Warrior. Cortisol has a huge impact on health and weight loss. If you're constantly stressing about trying to lose weight, and so every single day I'm jumping on the scale and I'm checking, did I lose a quarter of a pound? When you do these things, what we don't realize is that that stress is keeping a steady drip of sugar coming back into our body, because we're basically telling our body that we're in a long-term fight with something. And what our body doesn't know is that this something that we're fighting with is never going to show up. So it's keeping us primed and ready to get in there and defeat the whatever is coming that doesn't actually come. And that cortisol drip is there if you're stressing about eating differently than everybody else. And so every time you go out to lunch, at work, or dinner with your spouse or your friends or eat out at someone's house, if the only time that you are comfortably eating keto or carnivore is in your house, unless that's the only place you ever eat, you're going to be constantly dripping some sugar into your body because your stress hormones is going to be out of whack. Wow. And by the way, if my stress hormone is too high and it stays high for too long, it pushes all of my other hormones out of equilibrium, which also messes with my ability to lose weight. That stress that we walk around with all the time of not being at goal is contributing to us not being at goal. The fear that we have of failing at this diet is contributing to us failing because all of these negatives impact my stress levels, impact what I'm trying to do. We're going to talk about how to solve that, but you need to understand that it's real. The fifth problem that I want to talk about is that you're not eating enough. We're so stuck in our old ideas that you need to restrict to lose weight, that even on a keto or carnivore diet where we are told that this is not the reality, we still end up doing it. We still end up restricting because we're trying to force our body to lose rather than allow our body to lose. You need the right amount of protein so that your body can build you and heal you. You need the right amount of fat so that your body can build you. It's a building block, and fuel the processes it's trying to do. If you're always hungry and your body is still struggling to heal, it's going to click in and it's going to try to conserve energy because in your body's mind, healing is much more important than weight loss. So it's going to hold on to everything it can, first of all, because it doesn't want you to pass, because if no energy is coming in, but we're still working like maniacs, your body thinks there's a problem. And the only thing that it actually wants to do is repair you. The only thing it actually wants to do is build a healthier version of you. So it's going to hold on to energy and you're going to stop losing. You need to get back to basics, Wellness Warrior. We are spoiled. We're spoiled by the convenience and we aren't putting enough effort to get what we want. The first thing I want you to start doing again, because I hope you at least did at the beginning, was tracking. Track everything that you put in your mouth, no exceptions, so that you know exactly how much carb you are eating, but also so you know how much any other toxin that you're eating. I can verify if there's something in the nightshades or there's something in the avocado, oxalates, for example. I can verify if there's something else that could be causing my body to resist and stay where it is and keeping it inflamed. Especially if I see that I'm still puffy, right? If you see that if you still have inflammation, verify it. This isn't just about the carb creep that we're trying to correct. We want to be able to verify if there's something, maybe the dairy that you're getting in your heavy cream or sour cream or something that is impacting you. I can't even check if I'm not tracking what I'm eating. And the other thing that we do by not tracking is lie to ourselves about what we've actually eaten. We can pretend that we didn't have a cookie because we didn't track it. And when we eat the cookie, we're telling us, oh, it's not such a big deal, it's one cookie. Because I wasn't tracking, I didn't really pay attention that I had 5 cookies today. These things aren't just problematic because of calories. Calories is not a real thing. So I'm going to say that out loud. It's something that, like I said, companies made that up. So it's not even about the calories. It's about the inflammation the cookie is going to cause in your body. And worse, it's about the chasing that the cookie is going to, you're going to be back into looking for cookies and ice cream and chocolate and all the things because you touched the cookie. Finally, the number one reason that I am so happy that I tracked is because I figured out that 20 wasn't even my number. What if being under 20 isn't enough for you to stay in a ketogenic state? Because that's what I figured out. I learned I needed to be under 18 to stay in my ketogenic state. And so therefore I kept myself under 10 because I wanted to be for sure that I was in a ketogenic state. Otherwise the diet isn't going to work. And then when you know what you're eating, you can actually adjust whatever you're doing, Wellness Warrior. You use your scale to make sure that you remain in your numbers. And if you happen to be adding extra fat to every meal, unless you're trying to gain or trying to build something that, so I have skin issues and I need that fat, I would encourage you to not do that. I would definitely encourage you that if you're eating fat bombs and frying everything and buttered in your coffee, and if you're adding the maximum amount of fat, but you're on a stall, I would really encourage you to look at what you're doing. And if you need that fat, so let me just be clear, then maybe you need to do carnivore rather than keto if you're doing keto. What's important for us when we're trying to lose weight is allowing our body to dip into the fat that's on our body. If I'm eating enough fat to fuel my day, if I'm eating enough fat to fuel my day and have enough to store, I'm creating problems for myself. And of course, you want to make sure that you're eating enough protein to build your body and repair your body. That's a non-negotiable. It doesn't matter if you're trying to lose weight or keeping stable. You need to eat enough protein always, because your body is always trying to fix and repair you. And the analogy I want to give you is that if you were going to do some renovations on your house, you wouldn't take the toilet setup that you had in the basement and move it to the main floor bathroom, and then take the main floor bathroom setup and move it to the master bedroom, right? You would, if you're repairing the main floor bathroom, go to the hardware store and buy new stuff to repair the main floor bathroom. It doesn't mean that if in the main floor bathroom you still love the vanity is gorgeous, and you want to keep the vanity, that you're not going to keep that vanity. But all the other bits and pieces, the tiles and the flooring and the toilet and everything else that you're changing, you're actually going to buy new. Yes, our body does recycle. I want to pause here and thank channel supporters for their contribution to books, videos, and other learning opportunities so that I can make these videos to help you get your health back. If you'd like to become a supporter, there's a link in the description that gives you the option to do monthly or one-time contributions. Okay, let's get back to the video. Yes, our body does recycle, but let's not force it to recycle things that it would have made from scratch if we had given it brand new materials to use. That means healthy protein coming in is paramount. Healthy fat coming in to build our body, because your body is built with protein and fat, is paramount. The healthy fat for your body is animal fat. Plant fat does not build your skin the way that you want it to. That's why you need all those creams and night moisturizers and all the silliness that we put on ourselves that doesn't work. Companies know it doesn't work. It doesn't work because you build your body from the inside out. The third thing that you're going to do to help yourself is eat when you're hungry. You're going to eat to satiation. You're going to let this happen, this intermittent fasting thing happen naturally. People try to force themselves to intermittent fast. I'm doing keto, and then I'm going to do intermittent fasting after 2 months, and then I'm going to be fasting for, 3-4 days after 3 months, and your body barely got used to the keto because it takes your body about 6 months, according to Dr. Fung, to get used to anything that we're trying to get used to. So if you're trying to force your body to be ready to intermittent fast or fast long term, when it's still trying to get used to this new food you're giving it, you're going to struggle. If you allow yourself to follow how you feel and eat when you're hungry, the happy thing that happens is you naturally fall into an intermittent fasting scenario. For me, that took weeks for me to go from eating, it took me a few days to go from eating 3 meals back to 2, because I was normally eating 2 meals a day. That wasn't hard. But from 2 meals to 1 meal a day took weeks. But when I got there, it was because it no longer made sense. I had pushed back my lunch so much. When was I going to have time to eat lunch and then turn around and eat supper? It didn't make sense anymore. It made more sense for me to have one very satiating meal. So I started eating to satiation at 1 meal, and my weight loss continued. But the other thing that I allowed myself to do that helped that to happen for me, Wellness Warrior, is that because I was only eating when I felt hungry, I also only ate meals. There's no in-between snacking going on. In-between snacking raises your insulin. We are trying to solve an insulin problem here. We are trying to prevent ourselves from getting towards diabetes, getting towards heart disease, getting towards PCOS, getting towards all these problems that we walk around with every day, joint pain, trying to get rid of these problems, and snacking raises insulin. Insulin was keeping my inflammation problem going. It's keeping whatever problem you're trying to solve going. So allow yourself to let your insulin get back to normal. And your insulin sensitivity improves when you only eat meals and when you only eat when you're hungry and stop eating when you're full, so that your body's only having to manage what it needed to manage. And by the way, your insulin sensitivity improves when you stop overeating carbohydrates. Carbohydrates are the thing that raise your insulin the most. Out of all three macronutrients, carbohydrates raise your insulin a 10 on 10, where protein would, I would say, raise your insulin like a 6 on 10, 5 on 10, and fat barely raises your insulin, somewhere between 2 and 0, depending on the quality of fat that you take in. But by the way, seed oils, now you've got a high insulin rise again. Stressful lives are an amazing way to fatten us up. And companies lean into this big time. First of all, we have this hustle culture. Employers don't pay us enough. And then we hustle on the side to make more money, which means that we don't ever have a break from working. We're working all the time, around the clock. We don't get to see our children and our spouses and our friends. We're not enjoying our lives. The drips of sugar coming into my bloodstream from the cortisol being high all the time. And then we don't understand why we can't lose weight. Employers are constantly asking us to do more. So say you have the one job and you get it done on time and you can leave and get to home early. Nope, you left early. Put more work on that person's plate. And you finally figure yourself and, okay, now I can leave on time. What, you left on time? Put more work on that person's plate. They want to squeeze every ounce of energy out of us so that they make the most profit, because we're replaceable, don't forget. Whatever job you're doing, they can find someone else to do it, and probably someone cheaper and better than you. The expectation is that you're going to be working all the time. And if you're female, you have a full-time job, you're the primary parent, you're still keeping the house ready for Architectural Digest or Pundor, while you're keeping yourself looking gorgeous. Of course, your cortisol is high. Of course, your weight loss is slow. We need to understand that more money is not what's going to help us to have a better life. If we're sick, if we are too overweight to live our lives, more money is not going to help our life to feel better. Take the time to really solve your life problems once more. That's the only way that you solve this. You need to tackle your stress by tackling the problems. More money isn't the answer. But what if you live within your means, right? What if we stop buying a coffee every time we go out and just make coffee at home? Or we stop eating out every day for work and maybe bring a lunch with us? What if we stop the addictive shopping that we do to make ourselves feel better? Because all these things you're doing to make yourself feel better are contributing to the financial problems that you say you have. Sit down and have a heart-to-heart with your spouse. Maybe even go to counseling. That's the way to solve whatever problems are happening in your house, to solve whatever problems are happening in your relationship. By working through the problems, you're going to have mental stability. You're going to be able to be calm, and that's what's going to allow your body then to heal, because you're not dripping sugar into your system all the time. Your cortisol levels will regulate. And by the way, again, when my cortisol is out of whack, it's pushing my insulin out of whack. It's pushing all my other hormones out of whack. And it's, of course, impacting my ability to lose weight. By being patient while you consistently eat on plan, that's how we win, Wellness Warrior. Companies have convinced us that everything should be convenient, right? No effort needed. What valuable thing have you ever gotten that didn't take some level of work from you, right? And if it was easy for you to get, you end up walking away from it, right? You don't value what you don't work for. Even something as simple as walking took us effort to learn when we were babies. And if you've ever been in the unfortunate scenario where you lost your ability to walk and had to learn to do it again, you know what I'm talking about. It is harder than hard. It is harder than hard to retrain your brain to make those legs do what you want them to do. Give yourself the time to learn new healthy habits. No, they're behaviors. Give yourself the time to learn new behaviors and then make them habits. Honestly, Wellness Warrior, if you make this about weight loss, as soon as you lose weight, you're going to go back to the garbage because you're focused on the wrong thing. And I can tell you that I've done that so many times. I've lost weight, put it back on. Lost weight, put it back on. Lost weight, put it back on so many times. Actually, here's the chart. Because why? Because I was focused on weight loss, not on my body being healthy. Even if you stay 20 pounds lighter and never lose another pound, Wellness Warrior, ask yourself this. When has that ever happened before? I know for me, it's never happened. I'd lose the weight, and as soon as I tried to stay stable, the weight came back on. They've got us so trained to focus on calories and weight, we aren't noticing how much muscle we gained or how our clothes fit differently. The first thing that I noticed was how much quicker and clearer my thoughts were. So I didn't notice I was stronger. That's what I'm trying to point out to you. It was my thoughts. I wasn't falling asleep in the afternoon. Like, that was something that happened to me all the time. It stopped happening. I started falling asleep at night much easier. And I honestly cannot remember the last time I had an insomnia situation. I used to have them monthly. So many people report that their mood stabilizes. All of these non-scale victories are ignored because companies train us to ignore them. Those things don't matter. How much do you weigh? How much do you weigh? How much do you weigh? And guess what happens? We're so focused on how much we weigh that as soon as we stop eating the diet, not only do we lose the benefit of that we were staying at this lovely weight without being hungry, we lose all of those non-scale victories that we had accumulated by healing or beginning the healing process in our body. One of my biggest frustrations is the brainwashing. Considering that the average person gains 1 to 2 pounds a year, that means that a lady who is 5'5" would take about 12 and a half years on the low side to 25 years on the high side to become obese. 12 and a half years, Wellness Warrior. Understand, for most of us, it took 12 and a half to 25 years to touch the beginning of obesity. And then we want our weight loss journey to begin and end within a year. We are frustrated when we stall rather than seeing that our bodies are constantly adjusting and repairing. Repairs are more important than weight loss. And a stall is not weight gain. Please stop trying to be smarter than your body. We aren't smarter than our bodies. All of the advancements that we think we've made, and yet we are eating garbage and ruining our health every single day. The obesity rate is rising, not just in adults, but now we're letting it rise in our children. Because we give them soda and we give them cookies and we give them fruit and we give them all the sweet that we could possibly give them because we don't want them to suffer. They're suffering because they're obese. We don't know better than our bodies. A thin, weak body that is riddled with internal damage is a problem. Yeah, I'm saying it out loud because nobody's talking about that. Nobody's talking about the thin people who pass early in life because their bodies were damaged internally. They have all kinds of health problems. I'm not even going to just, the list is long of what takes people under the age of 70. Heart issues, cancer issues, the list is long. And that's what we're risking when we're only focusing on weight and not what the food is meant to actually accomplish, which is build healthy internals and fuel us cleanly. The goal is to heal your body so that it can regulate your weight. Sick bodies have excessive inflammation, which weighs more. Sick bodies are damaged internally, and that's what your body is focused on. It allows you to weigh more. Rather than fearing plateaus and trying to end them, verify your diet and allow your body to do its thing. Trust me, your body wants to be at its healthy weight. If you're eating on plan, only eating meals, eating when you're hungry, and ending the meal when you feel satiated, not full, satiated, trust the process, Wellness Warrior, and you will lose weight. It took us 10 to 20 years to pack on this weight. Give your body the time it needs to heal, because a healthy body regulates its weight. Now it's your turn. Are you going to allow your body the time it needs to heal and regulate your weight? And more importantly, will you eat the food that allows the healing to happen? I want to know, Wellness Warrior. So put your comments down below, add a coffee emoji to let me know that you made it to this part of the video. And this video is a bit of a refresher on the mindset that you need to stick to keto. I'm going to pin it down in the description and the comment section so that you can click on it after you've left your comment. So go make that comment and I'll see you over there.